Hello, stream. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Quickly do a sound check. I've been sorting out my desk behind. There you go. Been sorting that out. Got a bit distracted with time. Next thing you know, it was a minute two, and I was like, I panic. But welcome to the stream. Unless someone wants in the chat wants to give me a thumbs up or a wink. Hello, sounds good. Perfect. So welcome to the stream. Welcome to the video. If you're watching this live, hello, welcome. Tim, Mark, welcome into the stream. And if you're watching this back on YouTube, hello. Thanks for watching. And to everybody, if you would like to, all these streams should be on a playlist on the channel under Big American Civil War stream, I think it's called, where we've got all our previous streams. So you can see what we've got up until now, where we painted some artillery. We've painted a really cool ambulance from Perry Miniatures. We've painted some cavalry. We are now painting some infantry. All right. So yeah, but yeah, I guess we start off with Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everyone had a good Christmas and Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a good start of this year already. We're a few days in. But yes, hello. Robert, hello, welcome in. Thomas, welcome in. Hello. I had something set up and I convinced myself it was working and it's not. So I'm just going to quickly do that. And then we'll be firing up. Okay. Gonna check something. We're just gonna check something now. And we'll see. Right. There we go. But yes, Happy New Year, everyone. How is everyone? Everyone had a good Christmas and good New Year's? Hope there's not too many headaches amongst us, or I mean, a few days back now, but maybe some of your older chaps, you might still be lagging from one. Oh, I've not really prepared at all today. But yes, let me know if the pipe and drum's too loud. It's a new thing we're trying. Assuming you can hear it. I'm going to quickly set up my testing one. Yeah, anyone have any nice treats from Christmas? I, for one, have not through design. I've yeah, I didn't get anything. Didn't get anything, but I've got so much on my plate. I didn't need anything. I wanted to buy a few things, but I've got such a big project on at the moment with my Napoleonic French. That I was like, you know what? I've got a list of things I want to buy, but a sort of a belated Christmas present. But I'm going to wait till I get a bit more painting done before I purchase something else. Because the whole point of, like, for example, the American Civil War streams I'm doing at the moment, the whole point is I want to shift a big backlog. So, but yeah, I don't know. Go this way. So I've been sorting out my auxiliary desk. This is where I just tend to put all my junk. I just want to make it a bit more functional. Now I'm actually doing a bit more painting, and the pipe's too loud, are they? Let me properties. Okay. I don't know why it's locked. Sorry, I was just chatting. So let's turn it off a minute. So yeah, this is normally my dumping desk, but because I'm doing a bit more painting, you know, I haven't been painting really for a good year until we start the streams. So I want to make everything accessible now. So I've got a load of stuff behind. I've just turned the pipe and drum off. Mark, in case we'll come back to it. Let's forget the pipe and drum for a second. So yeah, this is hopefully going to be a bit more of a functioning workspace. And then I've just sorted out. I've got a little shelving unit here, so I've tried to sort out a load of my prime stuff that needs to be based and all that. So I bought some new really useful boxes today, which so for some reason I'll put the pipe and drum back on. There's a lot of faff going on in the stream, but that's fine. First stream of the year, so we start how we mean to go on, and have a shaky start. For some reason I cannot affect the sound on the pipe and drum. I don't know why. It's almost like it's locked. So yeah, I don't know. Right, we're going to... Anyway, let's jump down here. So here we are. So yeah, waffle over. I've just done a big blitzy cleanup behind me, up in the loft. In fact, I've done loads of tidy ups because it was just getting an absolute mess. And whilst I've kind of had everything apart because a lot of the Christmas decoration stuff behind, whilst I had that all out and put it back up, I thought, you know what, we'll make a start and have a bit of a clean up. Because it just gets on top of me, and then every few months I just have a big blast out. And we did. So yeah, still some more work to do, but I gave myself like 15 minutes to do it whilst I was waiting for the stream. So yeah. Right, so let me catch up. Big Happy New Year's and stuff in the chat. Good. Painting up my backpacks for sharp practice, shock markers, and printing fort pieces from Studio Historia. On my new Elegoo Centurion Carbon. Works like a charm. Plug and play. Oh, very nice. I really want to do some American... I assume you mean American Civil War forts, yeah? Like, what, you're going for like a earthen fort? Or are they going to be a bit more structure to it? But yeah, I really want to basically off... what's the fort called? Fort Wagner. I really want to do a Fort Wagner scenario. Or is it the second Battle of Fort Wagner? I think that's technically when the 54th Massachusetts were involved in. I thought it'd be really cool to do a scenario with that. So a long time ago I bought some Kingspan, so like some foam, insulation foam, to start carving and that, and I've just not looked back at the project. But that was before I've revamped my whole collection. So but yeah, I could definitely do it. Definitely do it at some point. Tim said it's bloody loud. I assume you mean the music. We'll see how we get on, Tim. Let me know. Thomas said, what's good? A few pints with mates. Got treated to a pillage rulebook and some fresh troops to start my next American Civil War project. What's your next project, Thomas? Tell me about it. Mark said he can barely hear it. Well, Thomas says he can't hear it. He's pretty deaf. Robert says I can hear you. Okay. All right. Let's yeah, for some reason, I can't change the volume of it anyway, which is interesting. So, yes. Oh, the printer is really loud, says Tim. The printer. Sorry, Tim. We all got confused. Right. I'm half asleep as well. I was feeling a bit unwell earlier, but I actually feel a lot better. I think I had some electrolytes and it's booted me up. The printer is really loud. Yeah, so it is a resin printer, I assume, Tim. I think it is, isn't it? Well, I'm not sure, actually. The resin printers can be quite loud just from the that. But I guess if you've got a FDM, that can be quite noisy. I've done Petersburg scenario. Very fun, very interesting, very nice. Very nice, Thomas. Hope you got a good heater as well. Chilly out there. I've got a nice under desk cheaper heater, which I've just turned off actually because I'm a bit too warm. Mark says no, we didn't. I don't know. Tim says FDM. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't own an FDM printer, but if it's anything like I guess resin printers go up and down as well. Same thing. Resin printers go, FDMs go up and down side to side, right? So twice the noise potentially. Anyway, we're back to it. Oh, right. Swig of water. I've spoken a lot, and now it always makes my voice go. Anyway, Mark said, not done much hobby over access, although a friend of mine did send me some Fallout minis that might get me hooked. You've got some Fallout minis? I know we briefly spoke about it, Mark, and I I was looking at some of the Fallout stuff. So Benji Paints over on Instagram. Anyone wants to know Benji Paints, I'll try to get his link at some point and I'll put it in the chat. But Benji Paints does a lot of really nice painting. But on the story, he's bought some Brotherhood of Steel, which is really cool. And I quite like the New Californian Republic. I think they look cool. But I've tried to look through the minis and I couldn't really find the stuff. So anyway, yeah, so I need to go back, look through the minis and see if I can see the NCR minis that I fancy and I want. If not, maybe I've got to rethink about it. Right. Philip Carney's Division of the Third Corps for the 7 Days Battles. Philip Carney, nice. Fighting Carney, he had a name like that, didn't he? He's a pretty good divisional commander, wasn't he? Tim said, I played my first game of Pillage yesterday down in Roseburg. Saxons versus Vikings, 6 players, isn't it? Awesome. Nice. What scale is Pillage? Is it skirmish or is it sort of large battles? Yeah, Mark was saying that was what I was alluding to. I just don't have the space to paint at the moment. You know, well, soon, Mark. Soon you'll have oodles of space. I just got distracted on... Oh, yeah, I'll talk about my... I had a really fun... So, reason why I didn't stream last Sunday, although I probably could have streamed last Sunday because I had the time to, but not the energy. I went over to Battle Bunker... so, Lee and Mel over at Battle Bunker YouTube, and they invited me over for a games day. So, I went over... I think there's about 9 of us in total. And they hosted a couple of games for us. So the first game I played was Imperial Romans against Celts, and they used the... Oh no, I've forgotten the rules now. They used a rule set. I've got... in fact, let's quickly have a look. So it was like a big battle stuff. This is going to really annoy me. I've got to look it up, sorry. The rule book is not here. Oh, there we go. Midgard. My memory's awful. Yeah, so Midgard. We played Midgard, which they did for like Imperial Romans and Celts, which was really good fun. I played Imperial Romans and we lost, but it was still enjoyable. Quite a nice game to play. And then our second game was a Star Wars Hoth battle, and Lee and his son Jamie. I don't know if Mel might be involved as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they've taken the one-page rules rule set Grimdark, and they've sort of added a Star Wars Legion twist to it. So they've kind of amalgamated the two rule sets. And they've done their own custom rules. So we played that, and that was really good fun. I played as the Empire, trying to take out the planetary shield generator, and lost as well. So I was teamed up with a chap called Richard, and we threw pies all day, basically. Couldn't roll a good dice roll between us, which was comical. It was funny. But yeah, we just didn't stand a chance with us rolling dice like that. But yeah, but it was a very good game day. I really appreciate it. They're kind for having us over, feed us, stuff us with tabletop games, and then send us on the way. So it's lovely. Thomas said, Rich. Hello, Rich. Hello. How are you? Did you have a good Christmas and New Year? I hope so. Midgard, yes. My memory's rubbish. Thomas says Carney was known as Carney the Magnificent, Irish American one armed fighting SOB, as he called himself. Yeah, I knew he was one of those sort of aggressive commanders, like divisional commanders. Right. Rich, I'm right in thinking you are the Rich that was with me on the games day. It was only afterwards I put two and two together. But yeah, although we didn't get to play against each other, Rich was on the other team, so there was two teams, or two gaming groups, and they kind of rotated. So yeah, we saw each other, but didn't play against each other. Right, we're gonna actually paint something now. I reckon. Been waffling enough. Let's get on with it. Right. So we have. Let's start with the HQ. So he's gonna have. Gonna give him a red shirt and a blue fez, I reckon. This guy's gonna have a white shirt. So I've been doing a lot of painting recently on some Napoleonic French. All were contrasts. And they've got like a lot of white belt faces and stuff, and or belts and whatnot. And obviously I primed white. So rather than I am the other Rich on the other team, yeah, it was nice to meet you. Yes, it was Rich. Yeah, it was good, mate. It was nice to meet you. Yeah, it was a really good games day, wasn't it? Yeah, we really enjoyed it. So yeah, I was painting these French, and because I primed white, I kind of thought actually I can use that prime as the base coat for my white parts. So it meant I had to be go in and be really neat with the contrast paints when painting around the white belts. And yeah, it's made me start being a lot neater with my painting. Especially with contrast when you kind of have to be. When I was just doing layer painting before, I kind of had to be a bit more. Well, no, I didn't have to be, because you just then put, if you kind of go over slightly, you can just put another colour on top. Whereas contrast paints it's a bit harder to do that, So, yeah, it's just take my time a bit, and then it just saves sort of doubling my work, really. If I can do a real neat job with the contrasts, then yeah, it just makes my life a little bit easier. Yeah, I've had a good time painting the Napoleonic French. Actually, it's a nice difference. Just because I can take my time painting, and because the uniforms are so nice, it's really nice to look at once you're done. Although I'm painting up French and overcoats, so they're not really got much of a uniform. But I painted up a unit of hussars. We've got the lovely braiding on their jackets and whatnot, so that's enjoyable. They look nice done. Although I did go for a unit of hussars that were just like a dark blue, like all my Union American Civil War soldiers, and so yeah, I didn't go for a bright coloured hussar unit purely because I wanted to go a bit historically accurate with my 1812 campaign, which the army's based around. So I wanted to try and get a unit that was there. So that's why I gone with the 10th Hussars. But I do have another Hussar unit, so we'll see. Either I'll try to keep it historical, or I'll go for a unit that just looks nice. There we go, we're getting And it's shirt red. Again, they kind of have a mixture of red and white shirts. I'm going off paintings I've seen, to be honest, but sort of red and white shirts, maybe a blue shirt in there, who knows? And then a mixture of blue and red fezzes, red kepis, maybe a blue kepi here and there. Again, these were Zouaves. They had Zouave jackets, but before the Battle of First Manassas, they actually took their jackets off. Well, the majority of them did, and left them behind because it was quite a hot day. They didn't want to have these thick jackets on. That's why these, like, you see a lot of the paint and artwork of the Zouaves, Fire Zouaves, first Bull Run. They're in their shirts. And obviously, this is why Perry Miniatures have done some shirt-wearing Zouaves. They don't sell them as Fire Zouaves. They just sell them as, I don't know what they call them actually. Oh no, maybe they do actually. I don't know. But yeah, in case anyone was wondering why they're like this and not in their jackets, that's why. I think it makes for a nice unit. Yeah, I think it makes for a nice unit on the table, though. You know, a bit like if you did Confederates and shirts. That would look nice. Some had grey shirts as well, from what I've seen, says Thomas. Yeah, nice. I'll include some. I'm not really precious on how I'm doing it. I just want to try get, you know, a nice looking unit. So if we can get away some grey, we'll get some grey on there. All right. Cool. So our first unit. So I need to look at this officer coat. Is going to be a lighter blue, I think. This chap's going to have either a white or a grey shirt, and then a blue fez on this guy. Just going to try to change it up as much as I can. This guy's going to have a red fez. Just got to remember the fez tassels are blue. So I want to avoid painting them red. Same for the 69th New York. That's why so many of them went into first Bull Run with no shoes and shirts. Perry called them Fire Zouaves, if I remember correctly. Okay, yeah, I might be wrong. Yeah, I guess they've kind of got to call them the Fire Zouaves. I'm thinking about it because I'm not sure of any other Zouave units that would have ever really fought in shirts in any other scenario. So yeah, my bad. Right. It's a nice mixture of poses in here, though. And again, having the Havelock kepis as well means you can change up a bit. If I had oodles of money and time to paint, I would do a early war army with, like, around the first Bull Run, like, you know, have loads of units in Havelocks and shirts and stuff. I think that would be good fun. It'll look nice, I think. Right, the drummer boy can have I think we'll give this guy a red shirt. I guess I can give them red shirts and red fezzes as well. They don't all have to be mix match. Let me know if you prefer the pipe and drum. Mark made a good suggestion, because I have it on the intro and the outro. I think he suggested maybe chucking it in with the actual stream just to bring a bit of sound in there. And yeah, I think it's a good idea. The 69th and the Irish 69th and the Irish Brigade was known to shirts on the peninsula. Very famous, used pickaxes to repel Confederate pickets while digging a road to Richmond. I have thought about an early war army as well. Yeah, early war's cool, I think. Mainly because I think you can have more fun with different uniforms. You know, if you were to do a historical recreation of First Bull Run, for example, you're going to have just so many militia uniforms, Confederates in Federal blue, Federal units in sort of grey. So I think at the time, pre-war, a lot of militia units favoured the grey uniform. So I think that's why early war you kind of had these sort of Union grey. But also it does make for there's some really cool sort of early war militia uniforms out there, and they would be fun to put on the table. So again, I imagine some of these units are only 3-month volunteers. So you know, you do have some units that will start off a certain uniform, and then when they re-enlist, when their enlistment runs out and they go and re-enlist, they go to Federal uniforms. So yeah. Tom said, yeah, as you said, flamboyance is appealing. New Yorkers in grey, Virginians in blue. Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's fun to look at. I guess I imagine that's the appeal of sort of the Napoleonic Wars and stuff, is the uniforms and stuff like that, having these real swish looking units on the table. And you do get that in the American Civil War in places. More so in the early war. Oh, I've got halfway through painting one chap's shirt and then moved on to another one without realising. What a silly Billy. That's fine. That's fine. More red shirts. That's fine. Don't know how I did that. But anyway. Yeah, I need to have a big sort out on all my paints because I had an old like Citadel paint rack, not a Citadel paint rack, but a paint rack that takes Citadel paint pots. I've had one over there, but it's just been full with all the paints I don't use. So just all odd paints that I might have purchased a long time ago for a paint scheme that I don't use anymore. So it's just sat there, not really being used. So now I've moved it behind me. So I need to now go through it, get rid of all the ones that I don't use, or put them back over where they were, out the way, and then load it up with all the regulars. Because at the moment, it's all just sat on my desk, which isn't a massive problem. That just means my desk gets a bit cluttered. And then I've got a couple of I've got a couple of shelves for sort of the dropper paint pots. So the only real one really unique uniform is the red frock coats of Van Dorn's Reserve, the 11th Mississippi. Yeah, I've seen some images of that. It does look nice, yeah. All right, I'm thinking, what battle is it? What battle is it? And I think so, like a division of Longstreet's Corps turned up or something like that during the battle, and they were all in Union blue, and then it caused real confusion to the Union chaps. Right, I wonder if we just let's keep going. I might do another strip and then go to another color and maybe just rattle off a few strips. Right. This guy can have a white shirt and a blue fez. This guy can have a red shirt. No. And yeah. We'll chuck some grey shirts in there as well. I wonder what the first American Civil War film I'm going to watch in 2026 is. Might have to AP Hill, Light Division at Burnside's Bridge at Antietam. Do you know what? I thought it was, Thomas. I thought it was. I didn't bat myself, but yes. Because yeah, AP Hill's chaps came in and sort of saved the day, didn't they? Wanted to say it was AP Hill, but I just wasn't sure. Yeah, I don't know. I have like a negative opinion of Burnside for some reason. When I think he was, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking it, but he was. He did good things. Jackson's Corps, yeah. AP Hill was Jackson's Corps, yeah, not on the street. I said. Oh, just slipped. Oh yeah, so talking about not really talking about, but I was awaiting an order which is donation to the channel, which was some Warlord Games HQ stuff. Now I actually chased them up last week, and Royal Mail ballsed up and sent the order back to Warlord Games. So I've been in contact with Warlord Games, and they've sent it back out. So in case anyone's wondering where that's gone and why I haven't brought it up, that's why. Yeah, it was. I was waiting for it ahead of Christmas, and it didn't turn up, and it got all delayed. And I thought, do you know what? I think this is sort of down to the busyness of Christmas time. Royal Mail, Christmas, busy. So I just left it, assuming it would turn up. Still hadn't turned up, so I ended up contacting Royal Mail. They couldn't really help because I didn't have a tracking number. I think I purchased it through Warlord Games as a guest. So then when I went to check, I couldn't find any order proof, which was a bit of a disaster. But I knew I paid for it because I had the money go out of my account. So I ended up contacting Warlord Games, going, I bought it this at this time. You know, help. And yeah, they were great. They were like, yes, we found it. Yeah, it's being returned to us on the 29th. We'll send it back out. So I'm hoping they're going to turn up in the next few days. I'm just conscious it was a donation to the channel, which is very kind. And I don't want it to go missing and then people think I'm pocketing the money. And I kind of am, because it's money for the channel, you know, models for the channel, but still. Right. This guy's going to have a red shirt. He's going to have a grey top, white Havelock. This guy's going to have... He's going to have a grey... No, he'll have a red shirt. Anyway, yeah, Thomas, yes, came in from Harper's Ferry. My opinion on Burnside is bad because of Fredericksburg and the mauling of the Irish through... although he had some early success as divisional commander in North Carolina. Yeah, I think division... Like, even at Antietam, he performed. You know? It's sort of a miracle that AP Hill turned up when he did and blunted Burnside's push, because Burnside was sort of caving in the Confederate right, wasn't he? So yeah, if it wasn't for AP Hill turning up in time, could have been a different story. And I think when he was leading the Army of the Potomac at Fredericksburg, yeah, you know, his planned assault on Fredericksburg, I think, would have gone a lot better if he had the pontoon bridges when he wanted them. So, you know, I think that the failure of that sort of mini battle campaign type thing was, I don't know, not necessarily his fault. You know, it ended up giving Lee and the Army of Northern Virginia so much more time to prepare, and then that's why I think it was so bloody, because yeah, had AP Hill not turned up, Lee's line of retreat was in severe danger of being cut off. Yeah, exactly. I said Burnside was really wrapping him up. One of those just special moments in American Civil War, you know. Timing. Perfect timing of AP Hill. We see that a lot of the times. Oh, Civil War. Hmm. Use some lovely poses though. Some nice work by Perry's. Let's check that. Let's check that. So yeah. He's going with grey shirt. He'll have a white shirt. He'll have a white grey shirt. Yeah, sure. We can go back in and just have a look. I would like more red shirts than not, but looking good. Thanks, Thomas. All right. I'm looking forward to getting these finished and based. I think they're going to look fantastic. They're a real nice looking unit. And avoid these white straps for the. I like using a white leather straps for like the canteens and that. So I just want to I don't want to catch that. Which isn't what I've been doing with my Napoleon French. Like I said, with them being quite a lot of white straps, is I'll try avoid getting any paint on there, and then I'll just go back and neat it up. Because what I've started doing with the white straps is just leaving them white. Yeah, neaten them up once I've done everything else, and then I'll hit them with a known wash, and then just skim it again, just go back over and give some highlights. And yeah, that can it's working for me so far. So yeah, I'll probably do something similar with the leather straps on these. As for the main shirts, I'll just use a apothecary white, which is a white contrast paint. I'll use that, and then I'll have a look at it and see if I want to go and highlight it at a later date. I think I probably will. Need some more red shirts. I'll have to look through what greys I've got, because I don't want to give them a dark grey shirt. I'm thinking they're similar to like British infantry, having sort of a lighter grey undershirt. I'm thinking like Victorian era. I imagine it's similar. That's what I've got in my head, so I think I'm going to go with it. One do four. What's everyone working on tonight? I don't know if I've asked that yet. I know I asked if anyone had stuff for Christmas, but in fact, I haven't actually got this thing on. Whoops. There we go. Did anyone partake in Napoleonic Wargaming's YouTube channel? He did like an advent calendar this year. Anyone do that? I thought that, but I don't know enough about the manufacturers and stuff. I think each day he put a picture up of a manufacturer and you had to guess it or something like that. But yeah, I haven't actually seen the result of it either. Started working on my first regiment of Carney's division of 37th New York. Very nice. 60mm Tyke. I just changed my YouTube handle. Hope it clears things up. Rich painting up some buildings for Warpath tonight, trying to get my painting mojo back. You were talking about when we on the when we were at Liam Mel's, you were talking about War Machine. Is it War Machine? No, it wasn't. It was. You said there was a 4th edition coming out on a certain rule set. Just wondering if you got any armies starting for that, or if you kind of got stuff already that you're going to bounce into. Was it? What's the something of war? Oh, I've just done something silly. Right. Let me put that there. I just deleted my chat so I couldn't see anything. The Kings of War, that's it. Oh god, I just couldn't get in my head then. I was Kings of War, yeah. I think I was rambling about. Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, Kings of War, that's it. I could see it in my head. I just couldn't think of the name. Yeah, so when's that coming out? Is that in the next few months? Imminent or not for a while? Let me Yeah, so when's that coming out? Is that in the next few months? Oh, can you hear that? You can hear that. Whoops. Not for a while. Right, enough of that. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on my Sorry. I don't know why I have desktop audio on anyway. Fourth edition was released just before Christmas. Oh, okay. Just before Christmas. Nice. I've looked at some of the Kings of War armies a while back when I was looking at sort of proxy Warhammer. But yeah. Shut that down. I've just started Napoleon X 336 French line infantry brackets 12 grains from the 1796 Army of Italy, Napoleon's first command. Ooh, very nice. I could be so tempted with some really early war French, you know, with their bicorns and stuff. I'd love that. Let me... Right. Yeah, I could be really tempted. Obviously, Perry's have got conversion kits for the... You can buy metal heads and put them on their French infantry. And Victrix does a plastic set, don't they? Yeah, they look nice. They look very nice. Right, should we give one of the Kepi? Should we give a blue Kepi in there? No, we got enough blue in the fezzes, I think. Our last Kepi guy can have a red Kepi. Yeah, because I guess as well, if you're going for bicorn French, which is what I'd want to do, you could do Egypt as well. Do Napoleon in Egypt. That'd be cool. That would be very cool. Do you know what I'm thinking about watching? I haven't seen it since it came out in cinema. Was the is it Ridley Scott's Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix, whatever his name is? Well, I don't know. I'm tempted to watch it again. I think I wasn't impressed when I first saw it, to be honest, but I don't know. Might give it another go. See if it tickles anything. Just chuck that over there. Right, let's get this all done. We're getting close. I think I will just use the blue quickly and do all the fezzes. And then we'll hit the shirts. Intending to do in Egypt, and indeed every major battle in Chandler's campaigns of Napoleon, eventually. Oh, nice. Yeah, like I said, I'm currently starting a 1812 army for France. But it's going to be 1812 onwards, I guess, so... but I don't really know enough about Napoleonics. But I guess after 1812 and the retreat from Moscow, I guess you'll then have the defense of Paris, which could be quite good. And I plan on maybe getting some Prussians and Austrians to complement my French. And then when needed, I can use it to bolster my mate's Russian army when they change sides. So, because yeah, I've got a friend collecting Russians at the moment. I'll have to get a link to his Instagram, but he's just put some stuff on there, and it's really nice. The monster that is Leipzig, yes. That'd be a cool battle, wouldn't it? Again, I don't know massive amounts about the Napoleonic Wars. Am I right in thinking it's considered Napoleon's one of his like best battles? Is that fair to say? Is that the one with the what do you call it? Not a redoubt. It's like it was like a hill sort of strong point position that he took and then left it to assault or something like that. I don't know. But yeah. Know a little bit about it, I think. My Napoleonic Frenches for the early peninsula started with the Irish Legion, now have Junot's full corps. Yeah, Peninsula, I was really tempted by Peninsula for British. I always said I'd have Peninsula, British, and 100 Days Prussians. That was my original thoughts, and that's what I wanted to do. And then for some reason I bought a load of French. And now they kind of lay dormant. And then a friend of mine just was like, do you know what? I quite fancy doing Russian Napoleonics. So I picked the French back up, started painting them. And here we are. We got a unit of infantry and a unit of cav done. And I've started my second unit of infantry. And I've started my second unit of cavalry, which is some lancers. So yeah, which I'm really enjoying. I'm enjoying. Going to go now. I have to watch the rest later. Have a great show. Thanks, Robert, for stopping by. Yeah, enjoy future viewing. But yeah, I appreciate you coming by, mate. I appreciate it. Take steady. Right, so he's not got a red shirt. He's not got a red shirt, so this one's going to have to. By the laws of evening it out, Havelock Man has to have a red shirt. Not really the best, but the biggest win was the Battle of the Nations at Leipzig. Only 600,000 troops. Yeah, it's funny. I know Waterloo's got that sort of, I don't know, reputation. Everyone talks about Waterloo, but yeah, compared to some of these other battles, it's not really that. I guess it's praised so much because it was perhaps you could say the end of it. You know, it was the last battle that really finished it. But yeah, compared to some of these other battles, Waterloo's tiny. Because yeah, what Napoleon went into Russia with like 250,000 troops, but am I right in thinking at Waterloo he had about 60,000? Obviously, the Russian campaign was a coalition almost, wasn't it? You had Austrians, Prussians, Italians, and everything in between. So Does Star Trek logic apply to Zouaves? Red shirts die first. Yes, it does. Yeah. I was going to make a comment about Star Trek earlier when I referenced red shirts so much. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll make sure I put all the red shirts in front. So they get the bullet first. Then I got to put yellow shirts in and blue shirts, but I could put blue shirts. I could put blue shirts. I think I could get away with it. Right, what are you doing back there? Missed a bit there. Right. The end is in sight, I think. Downside of the batch voting. The Grand Army for Russia was over 400,000 strong. Oh, right. I'm miles out then. I thought it was about 200,000, 250. Yeah, that is crazy to think. Just goes to show how it like, you know, the logistics of keeping that behemoth of an army going. And I guess Napoleon didn't expect Russia to do a scorched earth policy in its own territory. Otherwise, I guess they would have done better on the French army. Obviously, they eventually, when they had to retreat out of Moscow, I assume that was down to being unable to sustain themselves in a foreign country. That's because Russia made it real difficult for them. I'm going to do one more red shirt. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I've painted this guy yet. Oh, I have. I just haven't painted him with a red shirt. Yeah, so hang on. So to further increase the wow factor, that was the size of nearly full armies of Northern Virginia and the Army of Northern Potomac. Army of Potomac. Yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? But yeah, you think how much he lost and that campaign is crazy. Get yourself David Chandler's book. It will tell you everything you need to know about the Napoleonic War. Yeah, I might do. Thanks. I picked up a Borodino book. Borodino. I picked up one of those from Osprey, just as a feeler. Yeah, I'll have to pick up some more. Because yeah, I don't think we're that focused on Borodino. It's just the fact that I've got French and my mate's got Russians, so we just want to play what we can. It's a long way off anyway, because he's very good at painting, but that takes time. So the fact that he's got to paint probably a good few battalions of infantry and whatnot, I don't know if he'll get that done anytime soon. So I'm thinking because I'm quite a fast painter, I say fast, I'm faster than him. But I mean that's because I don't paint to his standard. But you know, that's why I'm half tempted to do some Prussians and Austrians in there. Probably get around to a game quicker, I think. Right. Probably don't need to be painting underneath there because you're never going to see it. Challenge Campaigns of Napoleon is cheap, but it's comprehensive. It covers every campaign and every major battle. And oh right, yeah, that's nice. And oh, so it's not just a. It covers all the campaigns. Then that's quite good. Then it's worth it then. As an overall, you know, covers everything. It'd be worth it. Yeah, nice. I'll look into it. Definitely. Right, that's all the red shirts done. All the red shirts so far. I'm going to start putting blue down because I want the main colour of this unit to be red. So we're going to chuck it down and see. Oh, I just realised that's. Let's do that then. I want the main theme to be red, I think. So we're going to see how we get on. If I don't feel like there's enough red in there, we'll come back. There's blue tassels on the fezzes, and then some of the fezzes are all blue. Ah. I do like the look of the blue fezzes though. It's nice. I think these guys technically had a yellow trim on their fez, but I'm not going to do that detail. It'd be too fiddly for me. Nice. So we've just done the blue tassel, blue fez. Ooh. I wonder why there was different colour fezzes in the fire Zouaves on the first Manassas. Right, I've realised I've missed this guy's collar. Should have a red collar, so I think I'm going to quickly go in and do that before I forget about it. There we go. Right, that's one unit done. Need to get the blue first. Hey Blake, welcome in. Hello. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. For comparison, the biggest battles in the Napoleon Wars and the American Civil War was like 600,000, Fredericksburg's 200,000. We're still talking big battles. Yeah, they're still big. Especially when you think like those modern armies compared to like ancient warfare. You think there's so much more demanding on resources. To keep them sort of fed and maintained would have been a monumental task. Yeah, it's amazing to think that they kept them battle ready. I guess American Civil Wars slightly different when it comes to supply chains. Actually maybe not compared to Europe. I was going to say, like, in the American Civil War they're having to do supply chains, but they're fighting in their own country. But I guess on the scale of distance it's similar. And who knows, if I do an American Civil War, I'm doing the 1812 Russian campaign, but who knows, you might see some 1812 Americans. That's when them lot kicked up a fuss, wasn't it? The War of 1812. When the Americans decided to be a little bit difficult. So, am I right in thinking that was Arthur Wellesley, was he destined for America? Am I right in thinking this? Was he? So something happened, and he just last minute got pulled and sent into the peninsula. And then obviously that's where he rose to fame. And I can't remember where he was heading, whether it was America or whether it was East. Someone might know in the chat. I've been doing all the tassels, yeah. No radio, communications by horse is fastest way. American Civil War had limited but vital railways, telegraph comms even more sparse. Yeah, I guess in the American Civil War they did have the railway. Very true. That helped to a certain extent. But then also, I guess with regarding the railway, you could say as soon as you start getting into the south or deep south, that was fairly limited. But yeah, that definitely helped things, I'm saying. I guess that's why you had, like, obviously Manassas. Or Bull Run, should I say? Well, it was the Manassas Junction, wasn't it? That's why it was fought over. It was a railway hub. And then Harper's Ferry had a rail link as well. Is that right? It was another link of stuff. So it made it more important. I don't know, but he was established as a British commander in the peninsula well before 1812. Yes, that's that's why I don't think it was so. Obviously, this Arthur Wellesley almost didn't make it into the peninsula because he was on his way to do something else. And then, so yeah, he might have never made a name for himself before the peninsula. Maybe it wasn't America he was going to, but I think he was almost ready to go over. Yeah, I can't remember now. No, I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Unless it was his regiment that went over there. Is it the 33rd Foot or something like that? Arthur Wellesley's own. Maybe I'm getting confused with them. Were they stationed in America? I don't know. I could just be talking nonsense. Might have to ignore me. She might give him a red fez. Only because I've got red paint all over him anyway. Yeah, a good one for that is British Redcoat. Military History. Is that the channel name? Really good stuff he does. He covers a lot of everything. Sometimes this contrast paint sort of dries patchy and you get sort of some of the white underneath. Wellesley, yeah, of course, might never have made it been famous if Moore hadn't died at Corunna. Few what ifs there. We always like to see. American Civil War's full of them. Well, let's just get my blue faz one. Sod it. This is where I find out that the majority of them were red feathers, because I'm actually looking at it. I've done a lot of blue feathers now. Maybe I need to throw a few more reds in. Yeah, I've got a lot of blue feathers. Yeah, I'm gonna add at least 2 more red feathers in. Yeah, we'll chuck another red in. Oh well, the tradition pub song mentions him. Oh yeah. You tell. Mark, I don't know if you're in the chat, but when we go to when we went to Eversley a few times, that's right next to his sort of estate, I think, because there's like not far from there is like a column of his or something like that. The famous stone wall at Gettysburg. What if? Probably Civil War buff's favourite. Yeah, I don't know. I think Stonewall's an interesting one. I think he's more. His reputation is so high. You know, he had a really good Valley campaign. He didn't perform very well at Antietam. Is that Antietam? Admittedly, he's just marched all the way from the Valley and supposedly didn't sleep the whole time. But yeah, I don't think he performed well there. Chancellorsville, obviously, done well. So yeah, it's that kind of what ifs, you know, like, is it Jubilee doesn't take the ridge, the hill on the first day at Gettysburg, and now they're like, if Jackson was in that position, would he have been aggressive enough on the first day to take that ridge, and then would that have made, then the Union wouldn't have been able to plant themselves so well, the fishhook. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Again, I don't know if Jackson gets this sort of mythological reputation because he died so early in the war, you know. It's almost like a scapegoat where they could have turned around and be like, oh, well, you know, Jackson would have done it. But yeah, maybe. But he's had his good and bad days. My big what if is, if we talk Gettysburg then, what if Hood was allowed to go around the Round Tops? Hood wanted to go round the Round Tops. He'd have got round the back of the Round Tops, which probably would have made them pull out of the Round Tops. And if you think Round Tops was an anchor for one of the ends of the fishhook, so if Hood went round the back, he would then have been looking to pressurise supply lines and stuff like that. You know, he could, that if Hood's push round the back played well, could have find, you know, the Union Army had to retreat from Gettysburg. So that's a good what if, I think. Obviously, it's sort of Longstreet says no because he's trying to stick to the rules. If Longstreet, I don't know, if Longstreet got his way at Gettysburg, Lee wasn't feeling great at Gettysburg. So yeah, if Longstreet had his way, then I think, you know, it's portrayed in the film where Longstreet's like, oh no, we should now, you know, we've hit the Union Army, we should now look to find a field of our own choosing to, you know, receive the army, the Union. And I think in that situation, if Lee was like, yeah, okay, then that might have been different. Obviously, I think Lee wasn't feeling great. He was off his game at Gettysburg, and maybe that's why his judgment was off, and that's why he pushed at Gettysburg. You know, you see what if of Pickett's Charge. Pickett's Charge was a haven't done them. Pickett's charge was a I don't think it was a bad decision. Like, I think there was logic behind it. But again, if he didn't call that, that would have changed the outcome of the battle. You know, I think. Funny enough, I just saw a video on it today. I can't remember who it's from. I'll have a quick look. And they kind of just talk about what if Pickett's charge never happened and how that would shape the war. Let's find out what it was called. Uncommon History Journal was the YouTube channel. And they talk about, yeah, so if the Pickett's charge never happened, then it wouldn't have been such a decisive Union victory in a way. You know, Lee would have left the field intact and still a threat. And then those, you know, Pickett's division was a good division. So that wouldn't have been minced up. You know, they would have still had that going into the latter half of the war. So, yeah, I don't think it changes the war, but it does change things, or could have changed things. It's called General Guinness. He's mentioned as he's the most famous worldwide Irish-born general. He was of Irish aristocracy, wasn't he? Histocracy, what am I on about? Yes. Talking about Wellesley, yeah. I can't think of the words. Yes, very good. Lousy on the peninsula, broken at Fredericksburg, great at Chancellorsville, superb in the valley. This is Longstreet. Yeah, exactly. So I think he had his ups and downs. He's obviously, I guess, you know, you'll be known for your victories and how good you are. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting. But then also you look where after Stonewall Jackson's death. Lee reforms the army. You know, he had two wings originally, right? He had Longstreet and Jackson. When Jackson dies, he then breaks it down into 3 corps, doesn't he? So, yeah. Obviously, Jackson didn't get on well with Hill. Am I right in thinking that? Is it Hill he didn't get on well with? They were button heads all the time. So, yeah, it's... Again, that's an interesting one. It's not necessarily down, oh, Jackson would have won the Battle of Gettysburg. You know, it's not just that black and white. I think it's how everything changed around certain things, like Jackson's death. You know, Lee, I think then Lee goes, oh, actually, you know, I haven't got really someone who can replace him, so I've got to reform the army to allow generals to come up into corps commands, but not such a large corps and stuff like that, you know. So, yeah, talking about Jackson still. 7 days battle on the peninsula. He was hesitant. Had Jackson survived, he would have had many men killed in the trench warfare of Cold Harbor and Petersburg. Yeah. My favourite what if is if the Union made it up Murray's Heights. My favourite what if from Gettysburg is if Reynolds survived. Yeah, that's a very good one. Very good one. Reynolds, you know, cool. Because Reynolds was more or less sent to... No, I'm thinking of Hancock now. But yeah, Reynolds was more than capable, I think, of taking on the 2 corps that was... you know, the 2 Union corps and commanding them. Battle of Gettysburg podcasts is very good for these. Yeah, I'll have to look into it, actually. He was from landed gentry, or as the Irish commonly called them, from the big house. That's Arthur Wellesley, yeah. Which hill, AP Hill or DH Hill? I can't remember. I think I remember it was a hill. Didn't he get one of them, like, arrested? He really didn't get on with them. Longstreet and AP Hill butted heads a lot, with Longstreet even arresting AP Hill. Oh, so maybe I'm getting Longstreet and Jackson's stories confused then. I thought Jackson did the same. Unless Jackson didn't get on with Jubal early. They're all buttonheads. I know Jackson, like 2 or 3 subordinates, he like tried to get arrested and stuff. Again, yeah, like if you look at that, if Jackson did stick around, could there have been more upsets within the internals? You know, I don't know. So it's interesting. Yeah, I think Jackson's always a good one, but it's nice. It's fun thinking about Jackson in not such a he's the best general in the world, you know. because I think he was a good general. I really like Longstreet. I do like Longstreet. They all had their days. They all done well. They've all done bad, you know. But yeah, I think how Lee had to adapt after Jackson's death. Be interesting to see if Jackson didn't die, if that would have changed, if Lee would have still been as effective as he was, you know. Because you kind of see it like in Gettysburg, I guess. Again, this I'm going off sort of what the film shows, but you have Longstreet thinking one thing, but sort of Lee just having overall command and being like, no, we're doing this. You know, do you think Longstreet might have had more... do you think Jackson might have had more sway over Lee, you know? Jackson didn't get on with Richard B. Garnett and Maxie Gregg. Who else didn't he get on? Is it Ollivander Laws? Ollivander Laws, is that right? One of them as well, yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing it in a documentary I watched. I don't think he got on with a lot of people. Jackson was an odd fellow. Gregg was killed at Fredericksburg and Garnett at Gettysburg, yeah. I always liked Hill. Lee and Jackson's reported last words were both orders to AP Hill, plus my first Confederate division was AP Hill's light division. Reynolds commanded the left wing, his corps, the first corps, the third to the annoyance of Sickles, and Howard's 11 corps. Meade's trusted him and respected him. Yeah, exactly. I think him and, you know, Hancock would have really, yeah. Those two were good commanders. And yeah, imagine if they both sort of hit the field together and fought together on the first and second days. Yeah, could have been. But yeah, AP Hill again. Good divisional commander. Again, I don't know if he struggled when he sort of. I'm right in thinking he took over a corps, didn't he? Or is it DH Hill? That I get confused between the hills. Reynolds. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's my project at the moment, is to get Reynolds' corps done. Should get them there. Like I said, we've had the 14th Brooklyn finished up now, so that's, and the Iron Brigade I've not done finished, but you know they're on their way. So that's Gibbons and Lysander Cutler's brigades, and then that'll be the 1st Division under Wadsworth, I think. All right. Plus Reynolds' corps, including my favourite unit, the Black Hats Iron Brigade. Yeah. So down to those Black Hats. Yeah, I need to get on and finish mine, to be honest. I've done 3 regiments out of them. I just need to do the last 2. I've just boxed them away, actually. So yeah, they'll get done at some point. any length of time in these chats will show that my favourite unit is of the Irish Brigade. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, and rightly so, mate. They're a cool unit. It's a shame that they, a bit like the Iron Brigade, sort of died a death, and yeah, because they were a formidable fighting force. Right, let me. What's going to be my grey? I've got ash and stone. I'm not sure about that. Not got anything there. Where's my painting? I've been painting downstairs at the moment because I've had a bit, obviously having time off from work because of the holidays. I've rather than coming up to the loft, I've been going yeah, going downstairs. So I've got ash and stone with Grave Lord Grey. I want to do a light grey. Seasonal Tyke, another Gettysburg what if. What if Jeb Stewart wasn't a dick? Yeah, that's certainly a what if. What if he was about? Yeah, very good point. What if he didn't? Right, I'm looking for something in a minute. What if he didn't bugger off? Because you could argue that the way Gettysburg developed, or the way it started, was down to poor information. What's the term? We'll go with information, but I can't think of the actual term. But yeah, you know, Heath didn't know what he was going into, so or maybe he could have done a better job knowing what he was going into. Have I not bought stuff up with me? Oh no, it's there. Sorry, I need my little colour palette and I've left it. A load of models on it. Right, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, if Jeb Stewart was there, maybe we would have known a bit more. Maybe there could have been more of a threat on the first day. You know, if Jeb Stewart was there with Heath, either Jeb Stewart would have calmed the situation, or could have helped in the removal of First and 11th Corps. So, who knows? Who knows? AP Hill at Fredericksburg reportedly shouted, "Here come those darn green flags again," whilst watching the 7 charges. The Irish died for a while, but reformed, but not to the same standard of the 1862. Yeah, exactly. It's sad because they were a feared unit. But right, that's a real light grey. But is that more like apothecary white? You know, I want some difference between these two. I looked at a nail polish shaker, by the way, and it was like £20, and I couldn't bring myself to buy one, so we'll do it the old-fashioned way at the moment. Right, let's put this next to apothecary white and see what the difference is. Okay, not massive amount of difference. Maybe we'll have to go with a dark grey. Cool. Give us a white shirt. Jolly good. Let's work for these. This guy can have a white shirt. And I've got a Havelock here, which needs to be white. Cool. Lee had almost no intelligence. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Yeah, so Lee almost had no intelligence to Union positions and movements. That reconnaissance mission was Stuart's. Jubal was too busy chasing Jabal, sorry, was too busy chasing wagons and Glory to do his job. Huge factor. Yeah, 100%. Jeb real messed up on that one. Yeah, trying to get his name in the papers. That's what they say, isn't it? Which, yeah, it, again, that could have changed things massively. If Lee knew what he was going into, it could have changed his stance in the battle. I think, I don't know, arrogance, but Lee going into that battle, I think he just thought, oh, you know, I've got the Army of Northern Virginia had sort of a status about it. He just, the confidence, massive confidence in the army, and it was to their downfall, really. You could argue he sort of lost the army for it, really. You think the amount of damage was done at Gettysburg, it's hard to recover from that. And yeah, that's Jeb Stewart should have been there. Because then, yeah, you know, you might have found Heath wouldn't have blundered into 2 corps of the Union Army. And yeah, that could have changed. You know, because then Lee might have... I know he was consolidating at Gettysburg with his army, right? And he was pulling them all together. Or maybe... No, it wasn't... It wasn't Gettysburg, but they were travelling through it, right? But... yeah, if he knew a Union army was in the area, he might have changed things. So why I would have. This is why I'd rather serve under Custer than Stuart. Custer at least did or tried to do his duty whilst chasing Glory. Well, he fought well at Gettysburg, didn't he? And his troops liked him, Custer. So yeah, he had a lot going for him, Custer. I'd like to serve under Custer in the Civil War, but maybe not afterwards. Custer's Wolverines, is that what they called them? His brigade? Which, first of all, sounds awesome. So that's a reason to serve under him, isn't it? right. Lee. Oh yeah, so Lee was used to facing very hesitant commanders like Little Mac and Hooker, slow to move, so Lee thought Meade would do the same. Yeah, well, it's kind of like shown in the film, isn't it? When he's like, oh, Meade's taken command, he's a Pennsylvanian. I think he calls him cautious or something like that. So I think Lee and the Army of Northern Virginia were just used to being on the front foot and sort of being what I say, sort of being on top when it came to maneuvering, army maneuvering. So as soon as, or just, you know, armies willing to fight, you know. I think Hooker fluffed it at Chancellorsville. Is it Hooker at Chancellorsville? Yeah. I think he fluffed it there. He had an opportunity, but then I think Hooker was possibly commanding above his station. You know, I think he was a good division corps commander. Just not army commander material. So yeah, I think Lee was just used to having his way with Union commanders, and then Meade, who was a very capable commander, I think, came in and put up a good fight, you know. Maybe he was just used to Union commanders not fancying a fight, you know, and then he comes across Meade, who stays put. Which again might sway Lee's decision making when it came to Gettysburg. Maybe he thought he could be more bullyish on the field, which did pay off. So Custer and his Wolverines, his famous cry, "Come on, you Wolverines," is legendary. But honest, I'd rather be under Sheridan. Yeah, Sheridan's well, he was solid, wasn't he? For Sheridan with Sherman, is that right? His march to Georgia. Did he have Sheridan as his cavalry command? So Lee was used to giving vague orders. Yeah, this is links into the what if Jackson was at Gettysburg, right? So Lee was very used to giving vague orders. Jackson and Longstreet were experienced corps commanders and used to it. I think they interpreted it well. They're on a similar page to Lee. When Lee said, "Do this," Longstreet and Jackson had the ability to carry out what Lee wanted without being, you know, Lee didn't have to hold their hand, right? He could just be like, "Do this," and trust them to do it. Whereas, yeah, Ewell and Hill were new to the job, and so yeah, this is the whole, like, you know, take that hill if practicable. And Ewell, I think, just thought, well, no, it's not practical, I'm not doing it. Whereas, yeah, like, you know, I think Jackson and Longstreet in that position, if there was an opportunity to take, I think they would have took it. Whereas Ewell probably not as much. Several gentlemen, is what Lee spoke, which was understood by Jackson and Longstreet, not by Ewell and Hill, as you said. Michigananders, folks from Michigan equals Wolverines. Yeah. I am on my list to study in Michigan, hoping I can make it to the board so I can go out to Virginia and the Civil War battlefields. That would be awesome, Thomas. That would be really cool, mate. So I want to do the battlefields at some point. So yeah. Sherman's march to Georgia, then commanded the Second Valley Campaign in 1864 under Grant at Sheridan. Nice. Yeah. Again, very capable commander, right? So Lincoln offered Reynolds the command twice. Reynolds wanted what Grant eventually got, autonomy from the politicians. Hooker and Meade accepted Lincoln's terms. I like the story about Meade getting the army. You know, they were saying like he had officers turn up at his house or something like that, or his quarters, and he just immediately assumed he was under arrest. And he wasn't. He was handed the army command. I like that with Mead. It's funny. But I think Mead's done a good job, and this is the thing with Mead as well. It kind of gets overshadowed that, you know, Grant comes in to take command of overall armies, but he's attached to the army of the Potomac, when technically Mead is still commanding that army. So, yeah, I don't know if maybe Mead gets forgotten about. And I think you're right to think that Grant still respected the chain of command, and when he wanted the Army of Potomac to do something, he went through Meade, you know. So he's respected all that. Right, we're going to do a couple of grey shirts, but I think we'll carry on with the white. I think these two guys will have grey. We'll see how we get on with it. But also looking at talking Gettysburg again, if Jackson was still about. If Jackson was still about at Gettysburg, right, Lee wouldn't have reformed the army and turned it into corps. So then how would that have looked? You know, how would have Gettysburg even happened if Jackson's corps wing was just one large entity? And you know, Longstreet separate, you know, would they have necessarily been split so much? And I don't know. Interesting. I keep going back to that one, but it's really interesting how the army was shaped going into Gettysburg. Reynolds as command-in-chief on the Army of Potomac is something I want to see. Yeah, again, if you know, Reynolds a very good corps commander, but could he have struggled at? I guess we'll never know, but again, it makes you wonder. You have some of these great, like Hooker again, great corps commander, fighting Joe Hooker. As soon as he's given army command, he just struggles. But then chances, I don't know if that was necessarily his fault, because was that the one where he was struck by debris into the head, knocked himself unconscious, and refused to give, like, I guess his subordinates didn't know what to do. So that's why it went belly up. That was because Meade wasn't a people person. He wasn't liked, but respected. Am I right? Meade had a terrible temper on him. Is that right? I think I've heard that. Right. Where's this other Kepi guy? Right, okay. Here's an interesting one then. If Lincoln, unhappy with the result of Gettysburg, removed Meade from command, who do you reckon would have been his next call-up? Not Grant as well. Let's leave Grant out of it for now. So imagine Hancock in command. I think Grant knew that the real threat to the Union was Lee, plus he knew Sherman's capabilities. Yes, Grant gave his orders to Meade to then pass down to chain of command. Yeah, I think Grant was very lucky. He had a very good subordinate under Sherman. Again, you could say Sherman to Grant, or Sherman to Grant is what Jackson was to Lee, you could say, you know. Someone very capable who was almost an extension of himself that he knew, you know, worked well, and you could trust. Yeah, again, you could argue that Grant's success is down to having these officers there, you know, like Sherman. But then maybe that's what made him a good officer, the fact that he could forge these relationships with these officers and work so well together. Yes, Hooker was badly stunned when a shell struck the porch support beam he was standing against. Me did have a temper known as Old Snapping Turtle. Yeah, that's it. It's a nice one, isn't it? Old Snapping Turtle. So Tim says Hancock. Thomas says Hancock. Tim says Hancock 2 more times. Reynolds performed well, commanding the most problematic of subordinates, Sickles. Old Dan Sickles. Old Dan. A favoured general of the Union. Yeah, so Hancock winning the vote by the sound of it, but that's another thing as well. You think if Dan Sickles never pushed into the peach orchard, did that check Longstreet's advance? Did it slow Longstreet down enough for them to anchor on the round tops? Who knows? Did Dan Sickles achieve anything really by pushing down into peach orchard? It's hard to say. I imagine mostly people say no, he didn't, but I like to think maybe he did. Old Dan Sickles. Howard Otis, Oliver Otis Howard, yeah, underrated. Yeah, I've heard that before. To be honest, I've heard that before. One-armed Howard, underrated officer. Grant stood by me when I was crazy, and I stood by him when he was drunk, and now we stand by each other always. Sherman and Grant. Yeah. Yeah. Again, just having that relationship in that staff. And I think maybe they were it was just the fact that they worked well. They harmonized together as commanders. Again, Sherman being a fighting officer. Dan the Man, a little Irish brigade connection, was one of his lawyers in the famed trial. Was Mahan? Oh, I did see a message about Sickles pleading insanity after shooting someone, but I think it's been deleted. But yes, he shot someone, didn't he? Was it his wife's lover or something like that? Pulled him out of the street and shot him, and then pled insanity so he didn't get convicted, something like that. That was before the Civil War, right? Oh, Dan. Uncle Dan. Trace from Stugmaster. Big fan of Dan Sickles. Stuggy. Right. Dan the Man. Is it Dan Sickles who they interviewed him about he lost his leg at... Was it his leg or arm? It was his leg, wasn't it, at Gettysburg? And they interviewed him, and he was like, they were like, "Do you miss your leg or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was really quite attached to it." Something like that. Was that Dan Sickles' quote? Silly. Right, that can have another grey top there. He had a sister called Tess. The leg is in the Smithsonian, yeah. He had a sister called Tess, didn't he? Nice one, Mark. Nice one. Tess Tick Sickles. Yes, nice. Is the minstrel boy on fife and drum in the background? Not sure on that quote, but seems like Dan Sickles' quote. He called his leg the greatest loss of the battle. What is on the fife and drum? I'm not sure what song it is. It's just a fife and drum loop. So I can't be too sure, I'm afraid. Right, these guys are going to have grey. I'm going to put some grey tops in and see what I think. If not, they'll be going red. So yeah, we'll go. That's my input, chaps. You're welcome. Thank you, Mark. It's much appreciated. Right. Let's get this going. Yeah, okay. This might be a little too grey, but we'll see. Maybe I spread it around a bit and it might... Oh no, maybe not. Might be alright. Yeah, I think this grey works. Nice. I can't bring many American Civil War facts to the table, but I sure can ruin educational moments. Thank you, Mark. You sure can. Oh, I've just realised the time. Ruddy heck. We're 5 minutes over. We had so much fun talking. Right, tell you what then, let's quickly blast these last few shirts. Some greys, and then we're done. I tried to finish at 10. This is bonus content then, I reckon. Maybe if I didn't speak so much at the start, I could have got on with more there. Well. Oh, I just realised he's missing his strap for his tankard. It looks like it's broken away. Right. I don't know how many grey cuts I want to do, to be honest. That's going to be... No, it's only... No, okay, so... Only 4. Right. Right. Will you ever make a video of you playing American Civil War game? I do plan on it, Blake. It's just not sure how I'm going to go about it yet, because it'll have to be a solo game. Obviously, I've done some old battle reports on the channel before, playing Sharks Practice. So, yeah. I do want to. I'm just figuring out how I do it. So, yeah. I might do one as a live stream one time. Because I need to get my head around some rule sets, so I might use it as an opportunity to do that. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Sickles manoeuvre can be summed up by an Irish Brigade soldier after being told they were in reserve. I reserved for the hardest of the fighting. Yeah. They did do hard fighting. It's a really interesting fact about how many times the Wheatfield changed hands in that battle. It was unreal. So much fighting. Alright. Let's get this done. We're almost there. I kind of think I want to do more red shirts now. I don't feel like I've done enough. Alright. 5 times in 1 hour, says 6 mil. It's David, isn't it? 6 mil. 6 mil tyke. Yes, 5 times in an hour. That's a lot. That's a lot. Tim said, I'd love to see someone do a battle report showing how to play Shark Practice. I use them a little, but a little confused in places. I could probably do something like that. The only thing is I can't do model removal anymore because I've put everything on solid basis, but get the rings. You know, people do like little plastic rings that they put on a model to show it's not there. Could do that. Also with hot lead and cold steel. Not enough battle reports using those rules. Yeah, I was so close to picking them up the other day. Only through one, supporting the author, and two, curiosity. I don't know if I would get around to playing it. 6 yes, Dave. Okay, nice one, Dave. Sorry, when you said you've changed your YouTube handle, I got really confused by it. Right, there we go. We're done. We never got around to the officer's coats yet, because I know that's a different sort of colour we want to go with. Let's put all these in it. So I've gone for a lot of white shirts, which I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't know, maybe there's a good mix. Right. Let's move that out of the way. These are the replies you have so far. So shirt colours, fezzes. I'll probably go in next and do the satchel bags and stuff like that. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I've done 4 grey shirts. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white shirts, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red shirts. So yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I might go back over one of the white shirts and make another red shirt. I don't know yet. We'll see. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, slow and steady. 6 mil, Dave. Oh yeah, so yeah. Oh, it was you I was chatting to about Ultra Freedom a couple of streams ago, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. I really like the rule set. I just haven't got an army to play with yet, so definitely want to do some more Ultra Freedom. They're coming along nicely. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. In my opinion, the best group are my group rules. They're biased because we made them. Yeah. If I were regularly playing, I probably would sort of come up with a house rule, because yeah, I'm not dead set on going by the rule book. Obviously, the rule book's good to follow just to whilst you're learning, picking it up. I think after a few games under your belt, you could change it up a little bit. Looking good. Thanks, Thomas. Right, I'm gonna end the stream there because it's 15 minutes past when I normally stop, and I'll get to bed. First day back tomorrow at work, so I've got to be all refreshed. So yeah, massive thanks to everyone who's come out to the stream and watched it. I'm gonna try list everyone: Thomas, Blake, Tim, David, Robert. Let's just keep going. Mark, thank you very much. I don't want to miss anyone, so I'm going to go back through the chat and just see if I've missed anyone. Let's go back to who else do we have in here? Robert, I already said. Rich as well. Thanks for popping by. Good chat to you. And I think that's about everyone. It is. Okay, so yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone watching this back on YouTube. If you made it this far, congratulations. And again, going back to everyone, like, if you want, we've got all these streams chucked in a playlist, so you can go back and watch them. So yeah, that's it for now though. We'll be back next Sunday, all going well, to crack on more with these and hopefully get a bit more headway done and get them sorted, ready for the next batch. So yeah, thank you very much everybody, and take it steady, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.